What if Naruto was an Uchiha Part 1? In this scenario, Minato is Fugaku's brother, making him an Uchiha instead of a Namikaze. They had their sibling rivalry as all siblings do, but they were also rivals as shinobi. Fugaku became the head of the Uchiha and Minato became the fourth Hokage as usual. However, he was more feared in the nations as he was not only fast, but he had the three Tomoe Sharingan. On the night of the Nine Tails attack, Minato's Sharingan flashed to life out of pure rage at the masked man who posed a threat to Kushina and his newly born son. His Sharingan helps him see the paper bombs faster, but he still had to leave Kushina on her own with the masked man to save Naruto. When he left when he left Naruto, he went to save Kushina like usual, and it goes relatively the same. Minato did more what? No, Minato had more of an edge in the fight while his Sharingan is active. I can't fucking write. To the point of making the fight quicker as he can see the subtle distortions in chakra when Obito phases. Unfortunately, it wasn't fast enough to stop the Ninetales rampage. If anything, the fact that Minato is an Uchiha makes the QB even more ferocious when he sees Minato's eyes. Minato's first thought was to put the Ninetales under a Genjutsu, but not knowing about the prowess of but knowing about the prowess of the Uchiha clan, the Ninetales closes his eyes. He then targets towards Minato's chakra with his claws. Kushina jumps in front to save both Minato and Naruto, however, she wasn't fast enough to push Minato out of the way, so they both got impaled by the claws of the beast. With no other option in mind, Minato decides to put half the Ninetales into Naruto and half into himself using the Reaper Death Seal. Kushina starts telling Naruto that he should eat right and to not get too upset when things aren't going his way. That life may be tough, but he has his father's will of fire, to, to which Minato adds that he has his mother's strength inside of him as well, as their chakra, should he ever need help with the Ninetales. As they both pass away, Fugaku and the third Hokage arrive to see the lifeless bodies of Minato and Kushina, as well as hearing Naruto's blood-curdling scream. Before Hiruzen can even take a step closer, Fugaku sweeps up his newborn nephew and tells him that Naruto belongs to the Uchiha clan, and that he will treat his brother's son like one of his own. But Fugaku can before Fugaku can leave, Hiruzen reminds him that he is not just an Uchiha, but he must be the new Jinchuriki of the Ninetales, and as such this is a matter of utmost importance to the safety of Konoha. Fugaku realizes that this is a matter that must be discussed with the council and the village elders. An emergency meeting is called by Hiruzen to decide what to do with Naruto. Fugaku votes that he, as an Uchiha, has the best chance is to live in the Uchiha compound with the rest of his clan. To his surprise, quite a few council members, including the Hokage, agreed with this as the Uchiha would be the safest bet to keep Naruto in check, and turn the Ninetales, and in turn the Ninetales with their Genjutsu prowess. The only one to really dispute this was Danzo, who thought he should be trained by him and his Anbu to be an asset to the Leaf. After losing the vote, Danzo swears that he isn't the end of this. He says this to himself, but Hiruzen can tell that his old rival is planning to do something. He keeps this to himself for now, as they have bigger things to deal with at the moment. So we skip ahead to when Naruto is 4 years old, and he has had a fairly normal family life. He had a very close relationship to Itachi, as he looked up to him as an older brother, and Sasuke as they are both the same age and they are cousins. Naruto was made aware that he is adopted at his 4th birthday, which was only a few weeks prior, but he wasn't that bothered, as this was the only family he had known, and he was very happy. Well, at home at least. Whenever he went into the village, he was avoided by the villagers. They would have called him names and thrown things at him, but they were too afraid of what the Uchiha clan might do to them, which made it worse for him, actually, as he bore both the hatred towards the Uchiha and the Ninetales. This made him more determined to get their respect. He was less childish, but still annoyed several of the villagers with his antics, such as drawing all the Hokage faces. He was shunned for this, even more so than previous. So he so ran home after being forced to clean the faces. As he ran home, he ran into Itachi, who asked Naruto why he was so upset. Naruto explained what happened to him, and Itachi responded, "I understand why you did what you did, but you need to be patient with the people of the village. People don't like what they don't understand." Naruto asked what he means by don't understand, but Itachi just waved him off, saying that he'll tell him when he's older. After this interaction, it only made Naruto more determined to gain the villagers' respect. He asked if he could train him, which made Itachi smile slightly. He said he would start with light training tomorrow along with Sasuke. The next couple of years showed the difference in power between Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke was better with kunai, shuriken, and ninjutsu, while Naruto was more adept when it came to strength and just raw power, as he has more chakra but less control. This is where their rivalry started. Sasuke had all the natural talent, but they both noticed how fast Naruto learns and gets stronger, which pleasantly surprised Itachi and Fugaku. Sasuke in turn starts working harder, which makes Naruto train harder, trying to stay even, or actually surpass Sasuke completely. Due to this domino effect, they both become a lot stronger and a lot more skilled to that of a genin level by the time they enter the academy. The academy years go relatively the same, but with Naruto and Sasuke being neck and neck when it comes to practical training. Naruto is more knowledgeable when it comes to academics, but not by much. He gets slightly higher scores, but that's about it. This is where people look down on him for his brains, not his brawn, as most of the kids have been told not to hang around with him. Shut up, phone. The exceptions to this are Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino, as they all came from clans that are close ties to Minato, and know that being a Jinchuriki is a hard life as it is. Like normal, all the girls swarm towards Sasuke, but they are divided when it comes to Naruto. Hinata still likes him for what he did when she was being bullied, and Ino respects him as a fighter and a person. However, Sakura is still a bitch to him like usual, which usually annoys Sasuke as he sees him as a brother and his best friend. Sasuke tends to keep this to himself, but he always either clenches his jaw or sometimes, depending on what people say, his fist. Every time there was a practical strength test of strength, Naruto and Sasuke were always pitted against each other, as they were the closest in skill and tactics. They enter the circle and both tell Iruka that they are ready. Iruka says begin, but neither of them move, as they are waiting for the other to make the first. After several seconds, Naruto makes the first move, running towards Sasuke. He throws a left hook, which Sasuke dodges. Sasuke then tries to sweep Naruto's legs, and Naruto jumps over it. They go back and forth for several minutes, showing the fruits of their training and the finesse of a mid-tier genin. Eventually, they start using ninjutsu. Sasuke uses a fire-style fireball jutsu, and Naruto uses wind-style gale palm, which explodes the fireball, but increases its size by 2 times. The reason Naruto knows wind-style ninjutsu is because Itachi had tested their chakra natures and found that Naruto's is wind and fire, while Sasuke's is lightning and fire. Knowing that no one can see him, Naruto uses the Shadow Clone Jutsu. He learned this from Itachi during training, seeing as he couldn't use the normal clone jutsu due to his lack of chakra control. He launched his clone through the fire. Sasuke was expecting Naruto to attack as he knew of his regenerative abilities. The clone threw a punch straight for Sasuke's face, which he caught and pinned him to the floor, not knowing that it was a clone. Iruka was about to declare Sasuke the winner when the clone poofed away and the real Naruto kicked the now shocked Sasuke out of the circle. Everyone's jaw dropped having seen this except Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke was annoyed at this loss, but also weirdly proud of how strong his brother is, and how fast he came up with that tactic mid-fight. Sakura, on the other hand, was fuming and mouthing off, saying that Naruto cheated and that he could never beat her Sasuke. Yeah. Before Naruto and Sasuke could say anything, Ino chimed in, telling her to shut up and stop putting Naruto down. He won fair and square. Naruto said nothing, but Ino could tell that he was thankful that she said something before he or Sasuke did. One day, Naruto and Sasuke were training after the academy, pushing chakra into their eyes, trying to unlock their Sharingan. Sasuke notices that Naruto's eyes had a slight red tint to them. Knowing that Naruto may have gotten stronger than him to be able to get closer to unlocking his Genkai, Sasuke put more chakra in a desperate effort to obtain the Sharingan faster. His nose starts to bleed due to the effort and strain being put onto him. Naruto stops and his eyes go back to their normal black as he rushes to Sasuke, checking if he was okay. Sasuke says he feels like crap and they should probably head home as it's getting quite late. While heading back, Sasuke tells Naruto that he thinks Naruto is on the brink of obtaining the Sharingan due to the slight color change. Naruto is shocked but remembers that the blood under Sasuke's nose seemed to run slightly slower than the more chakra he puts into his eyes. This made him happy but still worried about Sasuke putting too much strain on himself trying to keep up. Naruto tells Sasuke that they have plenty of time to unlock their eyes as they aren't even genin yet, and it's still remarkable that they are this strong at this age. But what they see next horrifies them both to their very core. They make it to the compound and see several members of their clan on the floor, bloody and lifeless. They both look on in horror and fear that their families could be killed so easily. That's when they notice that they can't see their parents or Itachi among them, and they both split up to find them. All Naruto finds is more bodies and more blood. Horrified to notice that none of the clans had weapons in their hands, meaning that they were butchered where they stood, with no chance or time to defend themselves. He started getting angrier than he ever had before, which woke up the Nine Tails. Knowing that he wouldn't be able to escape, as this was the first time he had been awoken, and the seal was still too strong, he let out a little bit of his chakra which goes into Naruto's eyes. Naruto clenched his eyes in pain as they felt like they were burning. When the pain subsides, he looks into a piece of broken glass on the floor and noticed that the Sharingan had been activated at one tomoe in both eyes due to his rage. Naruto then heard Sasuke screaming from the other side of the compound and runs as fast as he can to his aid. Before this, we see Sasuke run to his house hoping that his parents are still alive. When he gets there, he can hear his dad speaking. He can't make out what he's saying, but he sounded upset. And he could hear his mum crying and talking. All he could make out was one word: Itachi. He ran upstairs ready to fight whoever was the cause of this horrific crime, but he stopped dead in his tracks when he walked through the door and sees his parents falling over in a pool of blood. And Itachi stood there with his Sharingan activated and blood dripping off his sword. He asked Itachi why he did this, and his response scared Sasuke more than anything ever did in his life. Itachi replied, "To test my abilities, younger brother," in the coldest tone Sasuke had ever heard. Itachi then flashed his Mangekyo Sharingan, putting Sasuke into a Genjutsu. As Sasuke falls under this illusion, he screams loudly and unlocks his Sharingan momentarily before he sees his parents' death over and over again. Itachi, seeing that Sasuke briefly unlocked the Sharingan, is proud of his younger brother, knowing that he will indeed be a strong shinobi. While Naruto is running to the house after hearing Sasuke's scream, he sees someone leaping from the top of the building. With his Sharingan still activated, he can see the man's face. It's Itachi. Naruto is motionless, thinking that it can't possibly be the man who he looked up to all his life. It can't possibly be his elder brother who murdered the clan club Cold Blood. It can't be the reason Sasuke was screaming. While these thoughts were going through his mind and Itachi jumping overhead, a drop of blood landed on Naruto's face from Itachi's sword. As Naruto comes to the realization that Itachi had murdered everyone that he had ever called family, he noticed that Itachi was saying something, but he was too far away to hear what he was saying and he couldn't read his lips, as he was moving too fast to make it out. Naruto puts this thought to the back of his mind, for now, as he still needs to see if Sasuke is okay. When he gets to the house, he sees Sasuke getting up off the ground and shaking uncontrollably in both fear and rage. When Sasuke sees Naruto and the Sharingan, he immediately attacks him, thinking it must be Itachi standing there admiring his handiwork. Naruto dodges this and tells Sasuke that it's him and that Itachi is gone. Sasuke stops trying to attack and he tries to stop himself from crying. Sasuke then tells everyone that he had. Sasuke tells Naruto everything just that had just happened, but Naruto, after piecing it together for himself, just keeps staring at Sasuke. What Sasuke didn't notice was that while talking about the events that happened only a few minutes before, his Sharingan had reawakened. Fuck's sake. After they both tell each other what they had experienced, they fell silent. After a few moments, Naruto pulls out a kunai and stabs his hand, letting blood pour out of his palm. Sasuke then takes the kunai, doing the same. They both make a vow that for the rest of their lives, no matter how long it may take, they will find out the real reason Itachi had done this and get justice for their family. Over the next few years, they both train harder than ever in the academy and in their spare time. Everyone notices the change in both of the Uchihas. Sasuke becomes more distant from everyone except for Naruto, and Naruto stops pulling pranks and becomes more serious about his life as a shinobi. They both come out with the highest scores of anyone in the class in all subjects, especially when it comes to fighting ability. They are both faster and stronger than even that of Mizuka, which shatters his dreams of getting Naruto to steal the scroll of sealing from him. Oh, poor Mizuka. They are so much more powerful than their canon selves. At this point in the story, I'd say that I'd say that of when they finish the Land of Ways mission. They both pass the graduation exam with flying colours, and Iruka is torn between who to give the Rookie of the Year. He mulls over this for some time, going over the exam scores and even pitting them against each other in another match, but they both hate each other at the same time, with all the strength they can muster, and throw each other out of the ring. Iruka, after thinking about it, wishes he could give it to Naruto due to how much he has grown, but instead asks Hiruzen if he can make both of them the Rookies of the Year. Hiruzen takes a hit from his pipe and looks at the scores. He then tells Iruka that this time only he would allow it, as he would have been more than willing to let both of them become genin about a year ago. So the two Uchihas are named Rookies of the Year by Iruka, and on the last day, Iruka tells his students how proud he is of them for how far they had come, and that he is thankful to be their teacher. Sakura is ecstatic that Sasuke is the Rook of the Year and congratulates him, not acknowledging that both him and Naruto had this title. This irritated everyone in the class, even the Sasuke fangirls. Before anyone could say anything, Hinata stands up and asks Sakura why she's always been such a bitch to Naruto. This stuns Naruto because he never thought of Hinata to be the confrontational type, let alone defend him. Hinata, realizing what she had just said, and that Naruto is looking at her, blushes, then hides her face in her arms on the desk, thinking it was stupid that she just did that. Naruto, however, walks over to Hinata and says, "Thank you for standing up for him." She looks up at him, and all she sees is that charming smile that she fell in love with for the first time they met. This put her at ease, but she could feel her cheeks burning with how red they had gotten. Iruka, now getting the attention back to him, tells the class the teams they will be put on. The teams are still the same as canon. Hiruzen had put a handwritten note that Naruto and Sasuke will be on the same team, despite that they have both had the highest scores in the class. This is due to the deal that Itachi made with the village elders. He told them to keep Sasuke safe, but also that both him and Naruto need to stay together as shinobi. Danzo asks why they should bend to his terms, to which tells him that they have a strong rivalry. They keep pushing each other to become stronger, which keeps Sasuke safe and makes your asset even stronger to protect the leaf. He says this to appease the council, but Hiruzen knows it's because he doesn't want his little brother to be separated from the only family he has left. Back to Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Fucking hate her. They all sat waiting for their Jonin instructor after everyone else had already gathered their teams. Sakura wants to talk to Sasuke, but Hinasa's words from before keep circling her mind. She starts to think that maybe her blatant ignorance towards Naruto is truly wrong, and that maybe she should show him some kind of friendship. I mean, they are going to be on the same team after all. By the time she gets up the nerve to talk to both Naruto and Sasuke and apologize for how she acted towards him, the door opens and stood in the doorway is Kakashi Hatake. With no eraser falling on his head and seeing the determined looks on Naruto and Sasuke's faces, he decides that this team may be different from the others he's had in the past. He takes them to the roof and asks them their likes and dislikes just like in canon. Sakura goes first, and she says that her likes are reading and being around, and she glances at Sasuke. She says her goal is, again, glancing at Sasuke. Then she says that her dislikes are ignorance and pointless hatred. This catches Naruto and Sasuke off guard, as she's been arrogant and a stuck-up arsehole for as long as they have known her. Now it's Sasuke's turn. He says that his likes are training with Naruto and getting stronger to avenge his clan. He dislikes a lot of things, but most of all his older brother for what he did, and that his goal is to avenge the clan and restore the Uchiha to their full glory. Kakashi, after listening to this, thinks that Sasuke might get himself killed if he goes down this road, but there is still time to possibly change his path before he goes too far. Lastly, it's Naruto's turn. He says that his likes are ramen and getting stronger. His dislikes are people who look down on him, even though he's one of the strongest genin in their year. And that his goal is to get justice for his clan, and then become the Hokage so everyone will stop treating them like scum. Kakashi, after hearing all of this, thinks that it's quite an interesting team. He's seen the way they reacted to Sakura's dislikes, and plans to learn if she's telling the truth. And he thinks that maybe if Naruto and Sasuke get strong enough, they could possibly achieve their goals without going down a dark path. He tells them that those are some interesting goals, and that tomorrow he is going to test their resolve in a final exam before they officially become genin. He tells them to meet him at the training field tomorrow and to not eat breakfast, otherwise they'll puke. And with that, Kakashi disappears and they head off home. I'm not good at talking, but part two will come out whenever I write it.